Welcome to the 2014 Texas Longhorn Football Preview Show. This is the Longhorn Minute. Cedric Golden of the Austin American-Statesman and Statesman.com, joined by my esteemed colleagues, my partners in slime, Kirk Bohls, Davis, Ryan Autullo. Let's get right to it. Vance Bedford called us out the other day, saying that there's no pressure on this coaching staff because we have them going 7-5. I think there's plenty of pressure. What do you think, Doug?
Hey, Vance Bedford's new here, but he's not that new. Okay, he played here. He knows there's not 7-5 pressure on this team. He was kind of castigating the fans for not selling out, you know, before the North Texas game. But
it's only 9,000 tickets.
I think you know, I've never seen anticipation this high for a season, as well as uncertainty. You know, I mean, our staff is almost as new as the Texas staff. So, but I think people are really keenly interested in this season.
And speaking of pressure, let's talk about David Ash, Brian. David Ash is one hit away from oblivion. We know that. Concussions are a tricky thing. They're putting all their eggs in the David Ash basket. How risky is that? And what happens if he's not able to play every game?
Well, the biggest thing about the concussions is that, as you mentioned, no one knows. David Ash doesn't know. Charlie Strong doesn't know. His parents don't know. The doctors don't know. I've said all along this guy could get bumped at HEB and he could be out, you know, for the season, right? I mean, he really could. I mean, but that being said, I still firmly believe that he is a very capable quarterback. This team, to me, is a top 25 caliber team with David Ash at the controls. Maybe low in the rankings, but still a very capable team, capable of winning almost every game out there this year. But that's the big question. Will David Ash remain mobile and upright? Will he come to the press conference after the North Texas game? That's what everybody wants to know. It's not so much about throwing 300 yards. People just want to see him just come out of the thing feeling good and going into BYU and UCLA. And
well, Charlie's called him a game manager. You know, we talked about no quarterback wants to be called that. So you know, I don't think they're expecting him to win these games for him. I think they're going to be a dominant running team, downhill running, throw, play action, that sort of thing. I don't know, defense, big concern. What's your biggest concern, Ryan?
Well, coming off 2 awful years, 2 worst in program history, they're going to get better. It's how much better can they get with a new coaching staff. And let's face it, Charlie Strong's a really good defensive mind. I mean, at Florida, at Louisville. Last year at Louisville, they were #1 defense in the country. So they're going to get better. Their defensive line is very good, maybe exceptional. Their linebackers are a question mark, injuries everywhere. Their secondary was a mess last year, and aside from Quandre Diggs, who can be very good, there's still a lot of question marks there. So, yeah, I think the defense is going to play quite a bit off the offense. Ball control, wanting to shut the run down, to shut the pass down. I don't think they want to be on the field a whole lot defensively. So, you know, creating turnovers, stopping the run, eliminating big plays are going to be key. And I think that they can be serviceable. I don't know how good, though.
Oh, I think they'll be better than serviceable. I mean, Charlie's raved about the front 7, and the defensive line might be the best in the Big 12. I won't be surprised by that. I don't know, the secondary, where are you? The linebackers, Jordan Hicks' health, or everything?
Yeah, the front 4 I like a lot. I like Cedric, I like Tank Jackson, Big Mal Brown. Caleb Blewett and Shawro Davis will be fine. I do worry about Jordan Hicks because he just doesn't stay healthy at linebacker. And Mikael Thompson was awful last year at safety. They need him to be less of a high school quarterback and more of a headhunter back there. And they got a walk-on that's running first team right now. Nothing against walk-ons, but they have a walk-on running first team at safety. So I worry about the back end. And this is not one of those things where they can just kind of work their way into this schedule and have some cream puffs. We all agree they're going to be North Texas. But BYU, UCLA, that's a tough non-conference slate. What do you expect to see in the UCLA game? Great quarterback in Hundley. You think this defense is going to be ready for that challenge?
Well, that's going to be the first real measuring stick if they do get by North Texas and BYU, which I think we both expect. But like you mentioned, the safety is a big concern with me. You got a freshman and a redshirt freshman, and Mikael Thompson coming off a horrible year. So in this league, where they like to pass 40, 50 times a game, That's going to be a big question mark. And then kicking game is another one. Texas never misses a big kick, ever. You go back to Justin Tucker, Hunter Lawrence, David Pino, everybody. They make the big kicks. But you mentioned the schedule. Do you got worries about?
Well, I think the schedule. This team is one or two bad things away from being 2-4. Halfway through the year. I mean, that's just reality. Right. I mean, talking about individual players, I just want to mention two guys that I think there's more pressure on Malcolm Brown and Jonathan Gray than people really realize. And the reason I say that is because this team has to establish itself as a dominating running team, right? And the reason why is because they have got to stay on the field to keep the defense off the field.
Makes sense.
In my mind. Mm-hmm. They've got to be able to move the chains. And when we go back to David Ash being a game manager, if they're going to walk a safety up in the box, he's got to be able to find guys on 3rd and 6 or 7. You've got to find guys in the seam, hit guys over the middle.
Is there a tight end on this team?
I wouldn't know. I mean, I don't know if Texas recruits a tight end.
Charlie loves tight ends. That's what he said.
He loves tight ends. I mean, I just think that the running game, we always talk about running backs as being a glamour position. And I think there's pressure on those guys to keep this thing going.
Well, and you talked about the identity in defense. I think Charlie would like to win a lot of games, 24-20,
absolutely,
20-17. You better have a good kicker, and you better have a really good defense.
One returning starter on the offensive line. It's a concern. They acquire a really acclaimed offensive line coach in Joe Wickline from Oklahoma State. How fast can he get this group playing at a high level so they can move the line of scrimmage, so they can get these really good running backs moving, that they don't have to throw the ball 20 times a game. I think if Texas establishes the identity that Texas wants to establish, they can be pretty good, but I think it's going to be tough to do that. They were a soft team in the past, and now they want to be a very tough, stern team, and I don't know that happens in one season. If it does, watch out. I think they could be scaring some people.
Cedric, Kirk, you guys have been around a long time. You've seen a lot of Texas teams over the years. We thought the 2010 team was supposed to be tougher. They were heartbroken. They were going to be ready. That team went 5-7, right? This group, they sound different. They sound excited. They're saying the right things. Bottom line it for me. Are y'all buying it?
I want to see it on the field. I mean, no championship was ever won in preseason. And so Charlie doesn't want to be known as the great disciplinarian that couldn't win at Texas. Right. At the end of the day, it's going to come down to what they do on a football field on a Saturday.
Right.
And if they can win more games than they lose, if they can go 8-4, 9-3, that's a successful start. But until then, all this other stuff is great on the surface, but it's not the most important thing. That's winning.
Proof's always in the pudding, just like you said. But I do buy it. I think Charlie's a breath of fresh air and different air. And I think the players were ready to hear a different voice. I think the fans and the media were ready too. After 16 years of Mac, there was some staleness. And I think that's why Charlie is here now. So, yeah, I do buy it. And by preaching defense, Mac was more an offensive guy. They may be the square peg in the round hole that is the Big 12 Conference. So that might be an identity, might set themselves apart a little bit.
Well, I agree with that. Now, we can talk about football all day long, talk about Texas football for the next 3 hours. Let's just get down to it. What are the 3 things that each one of you guys are looking for going into this season, the 3 most important things that's floating around your head entering 2014?
Okay, well, that's easy. I'd say quarterback, and quarterback. I don't know if I've ever seen a year so based on the health of one quarterback. And he's had 1 concussion, 2 concussions, who knows? Broke a bone in his foot. He was doing well in the spring, but that's a quarterback's base. So I think quarterback is obviously the biggest worry, the biggest priority for Charlie getting off on the right step. But 3 things I'd say: quarterback, safety play, because I think they'll be good in the front 7, and the kicking game, which is a little suspect. Ryan, what would you say the 3 thoughts?
Quarterback, I don't know that they can win a meaningful game on their schedule if David Ash is hurt. I don't think Tyrone Swoops or Gerard Hurd are there yet. The schedule, in their first 6 games, they're playing 3 top 10 opponents, and that does not include BYU that just rolled them last year. That's a tough schedule. And the third thing, if you're going to be tough and you're going to reestablish an identity, you better be good up front in the trenches. Offense, defensive line is going to win the games for these 2 teams. What about you?
I'll switch it up a little bit. The number one thing I want to see is defensive excitement, okay? And to me, that is what's going to sustain Charlie Strong long term. I personally want to see 11 guys flying to the football. I want to see excitement. I want to see people getting excited when the defense takes the field, because it cannot be stressed enough. This program, 2 of the worst defenses in school history, back to back. That's unacceptable.
Quandre Diggs will make sure they're excited.
Absolutely, absolutely. So to me, I want to see defensive excitement. Number 2 has to be the quarterback issue for all the things that you guys have said. And number 3, I just think we want to see the toughness. I want to see that come to life in the offensive line. I want to see people blowing people off the ball. I want to see the defensive line stuffing people at the line of scrimmage, because I just think that those 3 types of things, guys, that is what's going to make Charlie Strong's program, what's going to make it successful long term.
I like it. My 3 things. Number 1, David Ash. If David Ash plays 12 games, I like this football team. If David Ash plays 8 games, I don't like them so much. I think that they could be a 500 team if Ash doesn't go wire to wire. Number 2 is this fan base. They're excited, quietly excited, but they haven't sold out this game as of yet. They got to jump on board with this team. They got to bring an Alabama-Auburn type of manic intensity to this team for them to get back where they want to be. And this 2015 will be 10 years since they won a championship. So the fan base needs to buy in a little bit more than they have so far. And number 3, got to be this defense. Those guys are going to have to carry this team. You're not going to win in the Big 12 by handing it off 30 times. Right. You got to stop some people. And so Texas is going to be in some 24-17 type games. That means the defense is going to have to really step up. Well, that's going to do it for us. We're going to be back at different times of the season in our swanky new studio. We got to get our money's worth out of this.
This is impressive.
This is very nice.
Breaking it in.
We're breaking it in, and we're probably going to eventually break it. We're speaking for Kirk Bohls, Ryan Autullo, Brian Davis. I'm Cedric Golden. Check us out on statesman.com and the Austin American-Statesman. Thanks for joining us today. We'll see you next time.